Guys, today I am doing an anniversary card and this is the image that I chose to do. So it's a gorgeous, I think, couple. It's a digi stamp, and because it's a golden wedding anniversary that I'm doing it for, I'd originally picked out a lot of colours like these sort of colours, alcohol markers, to use because I wanted to keep it in the gold tones rather than do anything that's going to really stand out. But then I remembered, because I did want it quite soft colours, I didn't want it to be really strong. I think the image on its own is almost good enough. And then I remembered, I thought, I have my paints, and I've got some gorgeous acrylic paints by Do Crafts, and in that I have this, it's called Classic Gold. And you can just see there how, when even thinned out, just using my finger just to see the colour, it has a really nice colour to it, and I think that that's going to work really well for what I'm looking for. So I've got this little lid to be my palette, I've got a little brush and some water, because I'm going to water these acrylics down, and I'm going to start painting this very delicately. So I want him to have a black and grey suit, because it's obviously it's formal wear that he's got there. So I'm just again going to really make it sort of watered down. So I'm just going to take a small amount of this noir, which is obviously for black, so it's just a tiny dot of that. I really only want a small amount because I'm going to water it down. Now, maybe I need a little bit more than this in a minute, I don't know, but what I want to do is really water that down, as I say. What I don't want to do is waste my black by going back in the water. There we go. And I've got this little piece of paper here to do a test on it, so you can see it's just a nice, very delicate, watered down paint here that we're doing. So what we can always do is come back later and just fill in with a bit darker, but at the moment I want to just go for this very delicate kind of colouring, and as I'm going across his jacket we're allowing the paint just to get much lighter. And this isn't watercolour paper, so it's not ideal. I didn't think to do that, because originally I wasn't going to be doing watercolouring. I was going to just be using my markers, as I said, but I think it'll come out okay. It's going to slightly rise up with the wet of the water, but you know, that'll be fine. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little bit of the black in a little bit more intense, so I'm just gonna pick some of that up and just tiny dab, and then we're just going to take that over some of the areas where we want it to be a bit darker. Like in here. And now I'm not an artist, or you know, I don't paint or anything like that, so this is really my way of doing things, but it doesn't mean it's the right way, and I'm sure those of you out there that are proper artists will know the correct way of doing this much more than what I'm doing here. But I just wanted to go for a really textured kind of sort of smudgy look almost, really. Oops, much too much water. and you can see where the paper's slightly buckling from the water going on it, so we just need to be careful that we don't overdo it. And those little buttons there. Okay, so it's just quite a smudgy kind of look. Okay, and now we're just going to move down to his trousers. Now I think they would be a more grey colour, so I'm just going to get a little bit of my white and just mix that in with that black, because I want them to be more grey. Okay. And then just adding a bit more of our white here now, just to blend that in there, to give that more grey look, and still some shadowing really, I guess. Or shading, I should say. That looks good, and then we'll do his gloves in the same here. And also his hair, he can have grey hair. While I've got my white, I will take advantage and just add a little shading some of this jacket, just to embellishments. Oh, shoes. We need to put some black on his shoes here. And his cane. There we go. So that's our 2 posts done as well. So now we need to do our lady here, and I want to do her in kind of creams and golds. Okay, so I'm going to do her umbrella. In this lovely buttermilk colour. There we go. To maybe add, just to make it a little bit darker around those edges. There we go. And then we'll do her skirt in this buttermilk and this darker colour yellow, which was buttercup, buttermilk and buttercup. This here. So I'm just going to do the whole skirt first in the buttermilk, and then come back over it after with the taking the buttercup mixed with some of the buttermilk just to soften it a bit. Let's just go back over this to create some shading. That's better. I didn't want the buttercup to be the predominant colour. I think that was a better colour there for that. And I'm just going to use my here to create some lines on her skirt, like so. Again, just softening that off. That's better. Go. Happier with that, and I want to add a little bit more buttermilk to this umbrella actually, because it's just a little bit too yellow. I'm not happy with that colour, so I'm going to make the buttermilk this darker area here and then go round to white at the front here, so include some of the white up here. Rather than that yellow, I decided that I didn't care for that. It wasn't the tone I was after. There we go. And then we need to do her hat. So that's all feathers, so I just want a little bit in here, because the feathers I'm going to do in that gold, and then I want to do a very light buttermilk on her jacket, because again I want to put more of the gold on that to bring that in. So get a gold, which is the metallic classic gold. And I'm going to add the gold to her jacket here. Okay, so 2 blobs for her little buttons there, and then I'm going to gently go around on this umbrella here and just add on these little tassels just a little bit of the gold, and also a blob for the centre of the umbrella there. And then on the hat we've got all these feathers, so I want to add the gold for that as well. That's on her hat there, and then I think just a little bit more down the sides of her jacket here just to give it some definition. There we go. And then I think just a little bit of gold on his hat here. And I think it would be quite cool to have this little bit of gold on the top of his stick, and also a little bit on the tip, which is quite common, like so. And I think some gold on these post things as well. These bits here I think should be gold. And just across here as well. Like so. And then the same on the other side. And that just brings some of that in. There you go. I think that looks really good. I think that's coming up nice. And I just want the tiniest bit of black, which has got a tiny bit of this gold in it as well, which is nice, on his buttons here. And I want black, just a little bit of black on for her hair, just in here, and just gently put the sky in place. There we go, so that's our sky, and then I want to do the ground. Okay, so this is actually called sand. Oh, I particularly like the blue in it. Let's get that off the brush. There you go again. That's better. So this is actually called sand, and I have done it very fine again, as you can see. Whoops. Do a little bit there. There. Okay, so that's our couple done, painted, so we need to let that dry and then come back to that in a short while. Sorry, I had to sand that bit there. Once it's dry, we can start working on the actual card itself. Okay, so here this is finished, and you can see how the gold is really sort of shimmering in the light, and you can see it's actually where I've done heavier gold, you're getting a real 3D effect. Now it's kind of gone all, where it's dried it goes like that, don't worry about it. This wasn't particularly watercolour paper, so it kind of shrunk it up a bit, but that's fine. So the next thing I want to do is I actually am going to use, I think, my corner chomper and just take the corners off on this just to make it a little softer. I'm going to start with the 1/4 inch just to see what I think, and I think that's probably going to be enough. I don't want it like really severely rounded. I just thought it would look nice with those corners just softened, and obviously I need to do the same for the piece that I'm going to mount it on, but I think that just finishes it off nicely. And then I've got my gold cardstock. So I'm going to pop that down, and I'm going to stick it on, I think, and then try and cut around it, because I think otherwise it's just going to be a nightmare. You'll never quite get it to the right dimensions, so it's easier to do it that way. And I just put our trimmer to one side, and then I'm going to take my chomper again and just chomp the gold with the same 1/4 inch, and then that will match in with our image. I don't think that one cut. Let's do that, that's better. Okay, so that's that mounted onto there, so I think that looks really nice. I think that's really effective. I'm pleased with that. Okay, so now we need our actual card base. So I've got an 8x8 card base here that was a pre-scored one, and again I've done a number of videos where I've shown you how you can make an 8x8 card or any sized card if you don't have the cardstock that's big enough to do it, so refer back to that if not got one of these already pre-scored. And I'm going to do a side opening card again, so then this piece was going to go in the middle, and then I've got my gold cardstock that I went through before, and I have a couple of, oh, I'm getting kisses as I'm going past from little Daisy. I've got this cardstock here. This is all Anna Griffin's gold foiled cardstock, and I quite liked that with it. I think it reminded me of the shape of the umbrella, and I thought it kind of fitted in quite nicely. And obviously, as usual with these commissions, I will be doing the inside and the back as well. So I think I'm going to go with this one. But first of all, what I need to do is base my card here in. Okay, now this time I am going to remember, which I didn't do last time, to put my ribbon around now. So I'm going to have a little look and see which ribbon I'm... Okay, so I've just been playing around with the layout a little bit, and I think that what I want to do is add another piece of card here. So the first thing I'm going to do is add my ribbon. So I've got a few bits here that you can see. This is something that I just found. It's some sort of sewing applique piece that I had laying in my cupboard for years and years. So I got that, and I thought it would look really fun. So I'm just going to cut some of the ribbon here, and I'm going to pop that around. And I had a spare piece, one of my spare pieces of cardstock, and I think that's going to work great. And I've got this here, the white doily. Now I could put a little bit of gold around the edges, but I think I'll leave it white because I really think we've got enough gold going on right now. And this was some lovely crushed silk ribbon, so we'll pop this around about here. So I'll just take a couple of pieces of my double-sided tape, but we'll just use it as one side, and just stick that down. And I'm not doing a bow on this piece of ribbon at the moment as far as I'm concerned, because we've got the applique piece that I've got there. Now I just want to double check that I'm happy with the position of that. Yep, that's going to be just about fine, I think. Okay, so let's take this and now stick it down to my actual main card base, making sure it is opening the right way around. Yep. And obviously don't forget we're going to be doing something on the inside, and I will probably do that now. I leave the back to the very last, but if I do the inside, if I don't do the inside now, when you come to do it, you've got all the stuff on the front, and it really gets, I think that looks really pretty. And I may well add the happy anniversary on the inside on this one, because I'm not sure that there's really a place for it on the outside, and I think it looks really nice in there. So we will see. I'm not going to stick it down for sure yet. And the other thing is, obviously later on I'm going to want to put something on the back. So I've got this gorgeous cardstock here. Okay, so then the next thing I want to do is corner chomp this piece of gold mirri that we picked up, that's for my second sort of mat of paper on the front here. And then I need to get a piece of card. There we go, and just then pop that down. Like so. Very pretty. Lovely foiling. Okay, so now let's see if this works when we put it on top on here. So we're going to have our little doily, our other piece of card, and then I kind of like that like that. You just move the doily a little bit like so, and then we can put some flowers or something up there. Yes, that's better like that, I think. Slightly higher. Right, yes, I like that. And then that will come down here. Okay, let's stick this down while we've got the position. Okay, so then we're just going to push that down, slightly twist it a bit more upright. That's it. And then when I put that down there, that's gonna balance that a little bit more. There we go. Alright, so that's that bit done good. So the next thing I want to do is just put my little 50 down. So I'm just going to use some of this Scotch quick dry and literally just put tiny little dots on there, so it's hardly any glue really, but it will just enough to hold it. And I'm just trying to decide whether I want it straight or not, but I think that will look a bit, I think that looks strange. We'll keep it at the same angle. Like so. There we go. Perfect. And then again, the happy anniversary, I am going to put that on the inside, so I am just going to do that now. And then just open that up and pop that in. There. Like so. There we go, and I think that looks very pretty. Make sure that's dry before we close it, because we don't want it sticking. I think that looks really nice. I think that's worked really well. Okay, so coming back to the front, I've got this as I showed you, and it's got this little bump on the front which I don't want, and I'm hoping very carefully just to twist it off without wrecking the whole of the flower, like so, because what I want to put in the middle is my creamy coloured little pearl button thing. It's from Creative Expressions, and I golded it up. I actually did it for the last card, but on the last card I didn't like it. It didn't work for what I wanted. So this time, just a blob of the gel glue in the middle there. And then just pop that down in there. And what I will do while I'm just got this glue kind of come out the edges is I'll just move this to one side and get a bit of scrap paper, and I've got some gold glitter here, and I'll just sprinkle it on. I've got to be careful because I've got a fan going. Cover where any glue's gone and just give it a nice bit of sparkle. And in fact, I might just add a little bit of the gel glue on some of that so that it actually picks a little bit of that up. I'm now going to be glittered to death because I shouldn't have done it first. I should have done the glue first, I mean. Pop that to one side. Okay, so the first thing I've got this gorgeous feather. It's really big. It's almost like a little ostrich feather or something. So I'm going to cut that down so that we've got about half of it. Okay, so that will kind of sticking through me. More static. So that's going to kind of go there. I've got these little gold crystals. They're kind of really cute. And this, actually I need to take my stick pins off for a minute because I need to take my little branches here, and I'm going to put my flowers in. And I've got some roses. I think look really pretty. Just pop that one behind a little bit. There we go. And then just taking one of the stems, just wrap it around, and then that will hold the others in place, and then you can play around with them as well to get them roughly where you want them. There we go. So that's going to look really nice. Now what I was thinking is to put on it, I've got this gold glitter glue from Martha Stewart, and I think what I'll do is just put a little bit on my little roses here. So I don't need to put quite that much on, just on the edges. So let's just use my finger and wipe that off a little. Just to give it a bit of the gold shimmer. I don't think you can go too far, and it stops it being so stark. There we go. So that's going to look really pretty. Okay, so we'll just leave those to dry for a minute. They won't take very long because it's only glitter glue. It won't take very long at all. I've got a white flower that I may use. I need something up here, so So I was thinking that flower and a couple of these little rose heads which could just poke down inside, actually under there if I'm quick, and maybe even my a stick pin would look nice in there as well. Okay, so I think we're kind of there. So this is kind of how my brain is kind of working on this. So the next thing I'm just going to do is tip the glitter off my flower here. Okay, and then pop that out the way. So then I can just pop that in position just so I can see, because I need to do this up here. Now this is going to need some gold glitter on it for sure, but what I'm thinking was that I can just pop these flowers, and then if I get another one, because there's glue under there already, so we want the 3 just to make it look just nice. So we've got the 3 flowers then that will be stuck. That one I'm not confident it's got glue. There we go. In position. Using the glue that's there. And then we can stick this little one down. It has got a sticky pad, but I like to use the extra glue of the gel glue on that, because you just don't know for sure that it's going to stay where it's supposed to. So then just pop that in place. And then the other thing we could do just in here, which would look quite pretty, is just add a little stick pin. I think just the one, like so. And then again using my glitter glue just to add a little bit of gold to our flower here, so that it doesn't look quite so white, because he does look very white. Ah! That was a close thing, wasn't it? Probably should have done this before I stuck it down, but not to worry. There we go, that's better. So I think that looks really pretty. Pleased with that. And you've really only got a very small amount of the doily showing, but I think that still works. It's still just giving a little bit of something there. And then we need to now come to this bit. Okay, so need to put down some glue gel, and a big clump of it we need as well, because we're putting a lot in there, so that's a big chunk. And then just drop my flowers. There we go. Okay, so then just spread that down a bit. Don't panic, it's all right. And then just taking a gorgeous feather, I'm just gonna take a bit of this glitter on my finger and just swipe it into there. Again, just adds a little shimmer to the feathers. Okay. And then we're gonna pop our feather in like so, and just give it a good shove so that it goes right inside the glue. And then put some glue over the top, so that when we put things that we've going to be putting on, like our little flowers there, our feather's going to be nicely stuck down. And in position. There we go. And that looks lovely. Just move that over a tiny bit, I think. There we go. And once that's settled, it will stay in place much better, obviously, once the glue's stuck down. And I'm just going to take a tiny bit of the glue and I'm going to just go up here and put a little bit of the glue just down here, and that will hold where the top of that feather wants to keep going somewhere where I don't want it. That will just hold that in place. And again, actually I'm just going to lift that again and just pop it in here to hold it down in the middle there as well, so that it stays in position. So the next thing I need to do is chop the bottom off these flowers with a pair of scissors because they're too long, and then just popping that where I want it to be. Again, just in position and giving it a good shove into the glue so that it kind of gets covered over, and by covering it over it really holds it in position then when you come to you know, when it's finished gluing down. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a little bit more there just to be sure, because I don't want that coming off. I actually need a little bit just underneath this edge here, so just lifting that, put that in there just to give it that set. So that's that done in there, and I think that looks gorgeous. So then the next thing I need to do just on here is I want to put my stick pin in. So I want one in there, kind of short, and then I want another one just up into the middle of our flowers there, like so. So that's that all done there, and now last on the front that I want to do is just add some. Okay, so I found slightly bigger ones which I think would be great because I want to put 3 down the corner here. So I'm just going to get my little bit of glue gel and just pop 3 little blobs down here. One, if I can get it to go off me. I think that looks really pretty. And then I'm going to do 1 in each corner, even though you can hardly see the corner over there, the top one there, but that will just, again, just finish it off. And that one in the corner there as well. Okay. Set of 3 pearls just along here or something would work, just to again break that section up. Right, let's just put them on. There we go. There we go. And so put a blob of glue there and a blob of glue just on the other one. And then we'll just quickly get the black pearls, if I can get hold of them. There we go. And we'll just tidy up around them. Okay. There we go. I think that finishes that off really nicely on their jackets and also on the little umbrella there, so just gives it some extra detail. Okay, so I think that's the front completed. and I'm really pleased with that. I think that looks really nice. I like the way the picture came out, and I think the way it came together looks really good. I'm really pleased with how it's finished off. So the only thing I've got left to do now is the back, just to put some card on the back of that, the one I showed you, but I won't do that until this is all dried. And also I will now line both the envelopes with some pattern paper that's in keeping, but I didn't want to do that before because I wasn't sure how much of the gold paper I would have left, so I waited until I finished both cards so that I knew where I was with that. But otherwise I think we're all done, and I think I might put this on the back of the card as well. I have a see about this heart left over, so I may use that as well. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed making this card with me, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I will speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.